All new Dr. Phil. They paid for service dogs.
Did you ever get a dog?
He's been sick since we've gotten him. We did all the training ourselves.
The organization preys on families with sick children.
But some customers...
Alex was playing in the pool. The dog was right by him.
My mom did have to step in and save my life.
claim they're not trained.
He is trained.
Is this why he lunged and tried to attack behind stage?
He didn't attack anybody.
He attacked her. A trained service dog shouldn't be lunging.
Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by. We'll count you down.
I try to be an emotional compass and point you in the right direction.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you. As many of you may know, I've dealt with type 2 diabetes for many years now. I got diagnosed over 25 years ago. The good news is that it's manageable, but it might have been a good idea to have one of these pups with me throughout the years, because these Labrador retrievers, this one standing on stage with me, for example, are said to be able to save lives. They are allegedly trained by a company called SDWR, or Service Dogs by Warren Retrievers, to detect the glucose levels in children and adults with diabetes, which could potentially prevent life-threatening comas. Now, these dogs reportedly can open the refrigerator door and fetch juice, get insulin, and even call 911 in an emergency. Sounds like a dream come true, right? But these women say it has been a living nightmare because they claim the dogs this company provided did not live up to the hype, leaving victims with some pretty adorable but very expensive pets who are not equipped to save lives at all. Take a look.
I felt completely scammed by Service Dogs by Warren Retrievers. The organization is a company that preys on families with sick children. I found out about Service Dogs by Warren Retrievers when my 11-year-old son was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. I was told that these dogs would alert if my son's blood sugars dropped dangerously low. I was told all I had to do was fundraise for a period of 2 years to help other families get a service dog as well. I was told that I would be getting a dog that would already be trained to detect my son's blood sugars and already have basic obedience, but really what I would be getting was a puppy that was completely untrained and had never even been introduced to the scent of a diabetic. My dog never arrived because I refused to sign a contract. I couldn't read the contract in advance. After I left the organization, I went public. I created a social media page. Tons of families started contacting me, some of them now having this overpriced pet that doesn't hold up to what it was supposed to be doing. The organization needs to be stopped. They cost us heartache, pain, and suffering.
Now, Michelle says she was excited when she signed up to receive a full-blown service dog that could potentially save her diabetic son's life. But Michelle claims that SDWR scammed her out of thousands of dollars, and what she actually ended up with was an overpriced puppy mill dog that had skin allergies, puppy dermatitis, and autoimmune issues, costing her $4,000 in vet bills.
What was supposed to be a life-saving dog for my son has been nothing but hell. I was scammed over $26,000 for a service dog for my diabetic son. We were promised a healthy service dog, and all I got was an overpriced pet. We got a really sick dog. He had some medical issues at the initial veterinarian visit. He had been having diarrhea and vomiting. The majority of all the vets and specialists that we were sent to all came to the same conclusion that Alan was overbred. He has a weak immune system. They were questioning whether or not it could be cancerous. We've spent more than $4,000 in vet bills. It caused our family a lot of distress. We had requested that we take a trip down to the farm to see where Alan was kept. Found out that these dogs came from North Dakota, not born on a farm in Virginia. Definitely we got Alan from a puppy mill. What I want to see happen is that all these families that have been receiving dogs still to this day realize that they're being scammed. I want everyone to know that this company is a farce. You could not have looked for a worse company to get a dog to help save your family member.
Okay, now I want to hear y'all's point of view on this, and I want to hear from the other side. And understand, I don't know this company, don't know these people, don't know y'all. So I don't have a position or opinion here. I just want to ask the questions and get the story out here because I want to learn. I don't know what the situation is. What I do know is that, particularly with type 1 diabetes, this is a very serious disease. It's one that needs to be managed very carefully, and particularly with children that often need help in managing the disease. Being told you have one thing when you have another could have dire consequences. So this is very, very serious. Tell me how this started. You were told about this company, and you were told that you had to pay just a $50 deposit to start the process, right?
Right. After my son was diagnosed, this was like a life-changing thing for us. So we had no idea really what to do. There's a lot of what we call the diabetic online community, and we had heard about these diabetic alert dogs. They call them dads. So I did my research, and I found service dogs. At the time, they were Guardian Angel service dogs. I initially made contact with Mr. Warren, the owner of the company, and I was told that all I needed to do was pay a $50 deposit to open an account, and then moving forward, all I would have to do is fundraise for a period of 2 years. Basically, at least hold one fundraiser every 3 months, and that once I raised my initial $1,000, I would be getting a dog that would come in, and the dog would already be scent trained. All we would have to do over the course of the next 2 years is work with a trainer every 3 months or so to do public access where the dog can kind of come out.
Okay, and what we're talking about here is these dogs can detect whether the individual has high blood sugar, low blood sugar, so they can detect this by being around the individual and are trained, given what they detect, to alert.
Some dogs trained to paw for a high and bow for a low, and then, that would tell my son, okay, that something's wrong, go ahead and test.
Okay, and some dogs are trained to actually go get a meter,
right,
or go get juice, or even call 911.
Correct.
If it's called for. Correct?
Correct. That's what I was expecting.
All right. So once you raised the initial $1,000, you said, okay, I'm going to get a service dog, right?
Correct.
Right.
I had done a lot of work for the organization as far as like poetry and videos and different things like that. So they made me what's called active status, which is, when you supposedly have $1,000 in your account. Mm-hmm. And I was on the list now to get my dog.
All right. What happened?
What happened was a local family that the organization introduced me to that had just received their dog didn't want me to be blindsided. She's like, when the dog arrives, it's going to arrive with a 30-page contract. You either sign it there on the spot or both the dog and the money are gone. So I confronted the owner of the organization and I said, well, I would like to see it before. I'm not going to sign anything that I can't see in advance. And he's like, well, it has some proprietary information and you can't. I said, well, then send me a general version of one. And he's like, no.
There's a purchase and training agreement, and
right.
I have kind of an exemplar of it here. It says the purchase price shall be $18,500. The training program will address low and high blood sugar recognition, specialized service dog behaviors like get the testing kit, get the juice box, get another member of the household, service dog emergency call, 911 training. If the puppy is trained as a diabetic alert dog upon reaching the end of the training program, is not offering alerts on recognized BG levels, Guardian Angel will offer a refund on a portion of the training cost.
None of that is true. I've asked them several times in our initial conversation, how much does this dog cost? They refuse to give me a price. Well, really, all you have to do is just fundraise for a period. How much do I have to fundraise? They wouldn't tell me. They don't issue refunds. And that's a huge issue with a lot of these families. His thing is, we're a nonprofit. We can't give you any money back.
So did you ever get a dog?
No.
Did you pay money?
I paid him a few hundred, and then, of course, with the work and everything I did, the poem and everything else, my account balance was at about $1,500.
Right.
At that point, when I told him that I wouldn't move forward if I couldn't see the contract, and he refused. He was very evasive. So we ended up backing out of the organization, and then things kind of went downhill from there.
Did you get a dog from this
I did
organization?
get a dog. We got a puppy about 14 weeks old, and upon delivery, we were basically given a contract that we had no idea that was coming. We were told either we sign it or the dog goes and we get no money back.
How much had you paid in at that point?
Initially, I paid $1,000 down to become active on the list to get the dog. And we ended up giving him, when all was said and done, approximately $14,000 in total.
Okay. And you got a dog that was 14 weeks old?
Correct.
Supposedly trained at 14 weeks old?
Supposedly trained. We were sued, and in the lawsuit it states that we were given a fully trained service dog at 14 weeks that would be able to detect my son's glucose levels, call 911, get a juice box, get a meter. None of that happened. Upon delivery, the trainer came, and what we worked on was Alan learning his name.
Your dog was not well?
Correct. He's been sick ever since we've gotten him.
Okay, and they say this because it was from a puppy mill, it was overbred.
Overbred.
Okay, well, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to meet an attorney for SDWR. We're going to find out what he has to say about Michelle's accusations of being scammed. We'll be right back.
Their experiences sound really unusual to me.
We filed a complaint with the New York State Charities.
Why is Mr. Warren not here?
Everything that I discovered about the organization, I decided to post on social media. I felt that it was something that was of utter importance for every family to know exactly what it was that they were getting into and who they were dealing with. Before I knew it, family after family just started reaching out. It started with 10, 15 families. Within a month, I was at 50. Within 3 months, I was at over 100. Every single one of these families are disgruntled. Some didn't receive training, some paid in full, and still didn't have a service dog.
Well, Melinda claims a company with the acronym SDWR took her money, failed to give her a service dog, and then filed a defamation lawsuit against her to shut her up, according to her, after she took to social media warning other families about how she was scammed. Michelle does have a dog in this fight, a poor, sickly lab named Alan she got from the same company. Now, SDWR attorney John Russell and the director of development, Lucinda Williams, say they provide a valuable service to people who need it the most.
I believe in the company because I see firsthand what the dog does for my grandson. I acquired a service dog for my grandson through this company. My grandson's dog started to alert my grandson's blood sugar levels within 15 to 20 minutes of arrival. There is a list of tests and commands that the dogs have to know and pass before they can be in the program and become public access certified. SDWR keeps records on all of the health treatments on all of the animals, their health certifications, their shots. You want to know that their dog is going to be able to work for 10 years and its health will be good. We go through the basics to guarantee the health of the dog.
Okay, guys, you've been listening to everything we've been talking about so far, right? And these ladies are obviously very unhappy with their experience here. Lucinda, you're director of development, right?
Right.
What do you have to say about their experiences?
Their experiences sound really unusual to me, based on what I know firsthand.
Yeah. Why is Mr. Warren not here?
This whole show came up pretty quickly, and he had a conflict. He's tightly, so he wasn't able to attend.
Oh. John, we're doing a national television show about his company.
I understand. He made commitments that he couldn't cancel.
Don't you think it's odd that he's not here?
Not necessarily, no. I mean,
we asked for a statement. He didn't give us a statement.
And you'll never get one.
We asked for a statement. You get him on the phone, he probably called him, nothing.
The organization is about more than just one person. There are about 500 people who have received dogs or who are in the program who are all very happy.
And how many are actual service dogs?
And they're all actual service dogs.
They're all actual service dogs. I have one at my home.
That's fully trained and calls 911?
Fully trained. No, we haven't asked for it to be able to dial 911.
As part of the contract.
If that is something that you want your dog to do, it's not something that we have asked for our dog to do yet.
John, as an attorney, since Dan's not here, what do you say about this practice of showing up with a dog and a contract and saying, you need to sign the contract or we leave with your money and the dog? Is that true?
No. When the organization first started, they did bring the contract down when they brought the dog. And they didn't require a lot of money to be paid up front or to have been raised up front. So the company has evolved, and now, because of the demand and because of the time it takes to go through this whole process, there's enough of a waiting period that now the fundraising is done up in advance. And now the contracts are sent out the day you sign up. The methodology that was being used in 2012 when they were having their experience are not the ones that are being used now. And there's not a single family out there who has gone through the training, completed the whole process, who isn't happy with their dog.
I have statements and affidavits in my lawsuit of 13 other families, and a few of them have went through the entire process. A few of them were completely paid. Why is he still not giving the actual contract in its entirety before he's collecting money like he signed into an agreement with? I mean, he offered to settle my lawsuit for this exact reason, and he's still not doing it.
For fundraising, he wasn't even registered in New York State as a non-for-profit agency.
In half of the states. Because
until we filed a complaint with the New York State Charities
He's a convicted
Bureau.
felon, Dr. Phil, and there's a lot of laws in a lot of the states that says if you're a convicted felon, you cannot accept money for fundraising. He is the president of his organization. He's the founder and president, who is a convicted felon on 4 charges. So, you know, a lot of these families are finding out too, wait a minute, you mean to tell me that legally I'm not even supposed to be fundraising for X, Y, and Z? They're not being told any of this up front.
Is he a convicted felon on 4 counts?
He was a convicted felon on 4 counts.
And is he
with a
therefore
finance arrangement.
barred from fundraising?
No, he's not.
Okay, we have to take a break. We're going to meet a mother who says her alert dog from STWR was supposed to save her son's life, but she claims it was all a lie, so STWR could obtain money from her. She's here with her STWR trained service dog, Lotus. We'll be right back.
STWR put my son's life in danger.
My mom did have to step in and save my life. It could have been potentially fatal.
We were scammed.
And later, we wanted to shoot at the facility. We're not allowed
But the dogs
to talk
aren't
to
there.
the owner.
The facility is mostly a cattle farm.
I'm just trying to get to the bottom of it.
STWR put my son's life in danger by delivering a puppy that already had anxiety issues to do a job that takes 2 or more years to train. Alex was playing in the pool. We ended up having to pull him out of the pool because he said he didn't feel well. He then proceeded to have a seizure.
My service dog Lotus did not alert me whatsoever.
The dog was in the pool right by him.
My mom did have to step in and save my life. It could have been potentially fatal.
She just doesn't have what it takes to be a service dog. I was so angry. We were scammed.
Well, that was Giovanna, who paid STWR $18,000 for a service dog to detect dangerous levels of glucose in her son Alex's blood. But instead, she says the untrained puppy almost cost him his life. Now, Molly, on the other hand, says her STWR service dog does help her diabetic daughter every single day.
My service dog from SCWR has saved my diabetic daughter's life multiple times. One day while my daughter Maggie was at school and Sugar, our service dog, was at home with me, she was acting very agitated. She had chewed up a remote control from our television. Because of Sugar's behavior, I called the school and had them check on Maggie's blood sugar. The school confirmed with me that Maggie's blood sugars were okay at the time, but 20 minutes later the school called me back and said that her numbers had dropped to a dangerous level. If Sugar had not detected Maggie's blood sugar, she could have easily lost consciousness, slipped into a coma, or even worse. Having Sugar, it is a peace of mind that you can't put a price tag on.
Joining us also is Dr. John Beach, who allowed me to borrow his dog Banting earlier today at the beginning. Molly, let me start with you. Sure. You got a dog from this organization, right?
Yes, sir.
And how old was the dog when you got it?
Sugar was delivered at the age of 10 months.
At 10 months. And was the dog trained when you received the dog?
Yes.
Okay.
It's an ongoing process, but yes.
Okay.
The dog was delivered, and within 5 minutes of delivery, Sugar, our dog, alerted to the trainer. And so I assumed the trainer may or may not be diabetic, and she was like, no. So we checked Maggie, and Maggie's excitement level had gotten so high that she was in a range of maybe 280, maybe. So she was already picking up from the beginning, but it is an ongoing process.
Mm-hmm. And when you say it's an ongoing process, the dog arrived trained to go on alert.
Sure.
Did so, but then training continued across time.
Yes, sir.
The trainer would come back on a regular basis and make sure that the dog continued its skills and perhaps add other skills.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
And you've had the dog now how long?
So we got the dog in January 2015, and we have 8 training sessions within the original contract, and we've used 5 of them. We have banked 3 for future.
Okay, so you've had the dog now about a year and a half.
Sure. Yes, sir.
And is the dog healthy?
Yes, sir.
And the dog is efficient, proficient in alerting
Yes, sir.
to your daughter's fluctuations in blood sugar?
Yes, sir.
Would you consider this dog to be a life-saving addition to your management of the diabetes?
Absolutely. My child is a very fragile diabetic, so her fluctuations, she was diabetic, she's been diabetic since she was 3. The first 7 years, we spent 1, 2, sometimes 3 times a year in the hospital with diabetic ketoacidosis, which is a dangerous situation when your blood level gets too toxic from high blood sugars. Since we have had sugar, we've not been hospitalized at all.
Who paid for this dog?
Our situation was very exciting. We applied for a grant within the Service Dog by Warren Retriever organization. We were awarded the full $25,000 grant. Another family was awarded a $25,000 grant. And I believe there may have been 10 to 14 other families that were awarded partial grants. So we got our dog paid for by Warren Retrievers.
So a dog costs, that sounds like an awful lot of money for a dog, but there's a lot of training and time and effort and energy that goes into it. So Sugar, your dog, came $25,000 worth of dog and training, you got paid for, and so you got this life-saving tool, and it was no cost to you.
Correct. She's a huge help to my daughter, yes.
Okay. Why 2 service dogs got into a scuffle backstage. We'll talk about that next.
Is that dog fully trained?
Yes.
Is that why
He did not come fully trained.
Okay, but he's fully trained now.
He is trained.
Is this why he lunged and tried to attack Lotus behind stage?
Closed captioning provided by Doctor, tell us about Banting and your use with this dog.
So Banting arrived to me at about 3.5 months of age. He and the trainers spent a rather long weekend with us, 3.5 days. And most of the time, I have to honestly say, was spent training the human.
Right. Yeah.
It's not, in my experience, and I have a couple of patients that have also gone through the same program and also have dogs, it's not so much that the dog needs to be trained. We need to learn the signals that the dog is giving us and react appropriately. It takes a tremendous amount of effort. It is one tool to help manage diabetes, but it's just that, a tool.
Is that dog fully trained?
Yes.
Is that why
he did not come fully trained.
Okay, but he's fully trained now.
He is trained.
Is this why he lunged and tried to attack Lotus behind stage?
I believe he was a little bit surprised, and quite honestly, this is a rather stressful situation.
Well, they were back there with nobody. They were sniffing when he attacked her.
He didn't attack anybody, first of all. He's never had a mean bone in his body. He's not an attacking type of animal.
He did in front of all the producers and us.
Lunge.
Okay, so he was without me.
It doesn't
matter.
Trained service dogs shouldn't be lunging and
You
trying
have
to
no dog,
attack.
so I can assure you, when a dog forms a bond with a human,
Amen.
they need
But I
that
have a
human
service
around.
dog that I've worked very hard to try
Okay.
to train.
And your dog's over there whining, so that's
Right,
good.
she is whining. That is supposed to be
appropriate.
one of her alerts.
According to the organization.
Lunging, never. If that
Okay.
dog was with a child, and did that at school or did that somewhere in public, that would have been a big problem.
Again, the dog was not with myself.
And I have a dog too,
So-
and the dog doesn't have to be with my son, and never, ever has Alan ever gone after anyone, attacked a dog, a human, no one.
And I guess you have a dog that adapts better to the Dr. Phil show.
Well, I don't know who started it.
According to the
there.
producers, I thought it was Lotus at one point, and then they came and affirmed me because I couldn't see the dog on the other side. I just saw the reaction back, and they affirmed that it was
So
Fancy.
your dog is Lotus?
Yes.
Okay, and this is a service dog that you got from SDWR?
Yes.
Okay, and tell me your experience with this company and with this dog.
There was a lot of understanding that some of these people did not go through because I guess the program has changed. As for me, I was told my dog would be scent imprinted, temperament tested, that he literally bottle fed these dogs, and that they were able, like, they're going through all this training. And when she got to us, that was not what had happened. Basically, my son was the guinea pig to train this dog. He had to check upward 12 to 15 times a day just to get her to understand, yes, this is the level of blood sugar we want you to alert to.
Ms. Flores, who you earlier represented, had paid $14,000 or whatever, has really only paid a couple hundred.
No.
So there's money has been raised on her behalf, but that wasn't her money, and it wasn't anywhere close to $14,000. She received 2 years' worth of training. Trainers went down to her house on numerous occasions, all of which cost money. And she never fulfilled her obligations under the contract and then decided to drop out. So that's the kind of conflict that was causing the problems. And let me just say, I can't speak for these women and their experiences. And Service Dogs for Warren Retrievers is one of many organizations who supply dogs. And no one organization is right for everyone. What's important is that there are lots of families like these three who live it every day and understand the importance of the dogs that they got from this organization and how much they mean to their daily lives.
I exposed publicly that one of his trainers was kicked out of the corrections department school for fondling the dogs. The families found out about this, and they were upset. They said, if this is true, we do not want her in the home with our children.
And that
he
isn't
would
true.
intentionally, it is true, he would intentionally stop their current trainer and send this trainer because he knew that they would reject training.
Well, wouldn't it be nice if he was here
It would be amazing.
to talk about
It wasn't like everybody was unhappy. If everybody was getting 14-week-old puppies that were untrained, then maybe there would be a valid reason to complain.
Closed captioning provided by... I have a trainer on the phone, and I want to ask the trainer about this training. The founder of the National Institute for Diabetic Alert Dogs, Lily Grace, claims that she has many clients who received untrained, sickly, or aggressive service dogs from SDWR. Now, she has been trained in AKC obedience, and she is an RN, and she's joining us on the phone right now. Lily, shed some light on this, because listen, I take very seriously what's going on, because lives could be hanging in the balance here, and I'm not trying to put a light on this one way or the other. I'm just trying to get to the bottom of it. I've got women here that are complaining about the company. I've got representatives here that are defending the company. I've got folks here that have had great experience from the company. So I'm trying to put all sides of this story out here. But I'm curious about training. I've never heard of dogs being trained at 14 weeks, 12 weeks, 10 weeks. What's up with the training here?
First off, there is no way you can have a trained puppy by the time it's 14 weeks old. That's just not possible. At that point, I'm happy that the dog is introduced to some commands and is actually housebroken and peeing outside. A dog of that age is nowhere near finished or even started as a service dog at that age. So I think what is going on here between the people who are successful with the SDWR dogs and those that are not is that how much knowledge of dog training they have prior to even coming into this So from what I'm getting and what I know of this company, they deliver very young puppies that are not trained. They charge the families up to $25,000, $26,000 for an untrained puppy, give them a manual on what they're supposed to do, and then SDWR brings out a trainer a few times to help them along with the training. So these people are getting untrained puppies and are expected then to train them on their own for a fee of $25,000. It's just ridiculous.
Can I respond to that?
Untrue. If that were true, it would be
Not true.
That would be
sorry,
really
that
sad,
is
yeah.
just
You've
not
got 3
what
people
we
who
do.
got dogs delivered. One
My
who has
dog
their dog
came
there.
and alerted to my grandson's high blood sugar within 30 minutes.
They all do that. Every
He's
single
been-
dog that's ever delivered as a diabetic alert dog, 99% of them alert within the first 15 minutes. When a person is excited, their adrenaline pumps, and then they get a high blood sugar. A dog will come and start pulling on them the minute they walk in the house, and instantly the person getting the dog thinks this is a wonderfully trained dog. In reality, it's not. It is probably one of the biggest scams on the planet.
Oh my goodness.
And what you mean by the biggest scams on the planet is that a dog alerts right away because of the excitement of the recipient.
Exactly. The only way to find out for certain whether a dog is scent trained is to do a double-blind study where you take the dog away from the humans, you put it into a lab-type situation where you have a normal blood sugar scent sample, where it's a saliva sample off the exact same person that you're collecting a low scent sample from. You watch the dog with a independent handler, you see which scent sample that dog alerts on.
That exact test was done in my home. And that dog only found the cotton balls that had my grandson's lows and highs. He could have cared less about all of the cotton balls that had our perfect 100 or 90 blood glucose levels. This actually occurred for an entire week that the trainer was there with us, just to keep reinforcing. Plus my daughter.
How old was this dog when it was delivered?
The dog was delivered at 9 months of age.
Okay, there you go, a 9-month-old. You're talking a difference between a 9-month-old trained dog and a 14-week-old puppy.
And John, your point is that the company's practices have evolved across time.
They work better now. The whole process works better now. It worked before. It wasn't like everybody was unhappy.
Well,
but if everybody was getting 14-week-old puppies that were untrained, then maybe there would be a valid reason to complain. But ask these people. He's a doctor.
I did.
He treats diabetics.
Listen, John, I did ask him. That's why you have to acknowledge. That's why I brought him here. I brought positive success stories here so people could understand that this does work in some circumstances, right? I didn't just bring complainers here. Next, we tried to visit the farm where these dogs are allegedly bred, why we were denied access when we come back. We did try to get information, and we tried to get you to give us information, and we wanted to shoot at the SDWR facility, but we were told there's no one there on the weekend, but that you would send a video. But you never sent a video. We asked for SDWR trainer to appear on the show, and you claimed that all trainers were not available. We were never provided any of the training requirements after saying they would be provided. You refused to allow us to contact the founder of SDWR, said he was too busy. We wanted him here, but again, you say he's too busy. Never responded to requests for a statement from the founder of SDWR. It just seems like it's just been a block all the way.
You know, I had lots of conversations with one of your senior producers, and yet no producer ever asked me for a statement from Dan. We have videos, and I even offered. I even offered.
Producer
to get
Dom
videos.
didn't ask you for a statement from Dan?
Never.
we're not allowed to see the place where the dogs are. We're not allowed to talk to the owner. Well, the dogs supposedly were there, but then it turns out they're coming from Dakota.
No, in 2000, up through about 2011, a lot of the dogs were bred on site there. But all that changed because the organization got, the demand for dogs got such that they couldn't do all the breeding right there. And so the organization decided that its main focus should be on delivering and training. And they started using other breeders after they had investigated and vetted those breeders. The training takes place in the family's homes. That's what this organization does. There's the dogs, some of them may spend a brief amount of time there, but the facility is mostly a cattle farm. It's not a dog raising facility.
There are so many positives to what my family's experienced, and your staff has spent days and days and days getting emails and Facebook posts from me and videos, and it's all positive and it's all good, and we've spent no time looking at that or the positive stories.
Are you serious?
No, wait a minute. And my second point was, the best book I've ever read in my life is by your wife, Inside My Heart. And one of the points that she made that really, really touched me is, I cannot control what people say, and I cannot control what people do, but I can control what I let enter my heart and choose not to react. That came from your wife, and I use that daily. I don't play into negativity. My daughter is thriving now because of her service dog, and I really wish you could talk about how positive that has been for her.
Everything that was promised was done, and you say you wish we would talk about the positive?
I really appreciate you having me on here.
Apparently you don't. Closed captioning provided by, well, let me just recap this for you. I brought you here as a positive side of this story.
Right.
I said that this dog saved your daughter's life.
Right.
You've talked about that you have not had to go to the hospital, that this has had a profound effect on the quality of her life and her existence, that they met everything that was promised and more, that the dog came to you with a full grant, that it's been paid forward, that everything that was promised was done. And you say you wish we would talk about the positives in this?
I just feel like it's getting overshadowed by the potential negative. I feel like it's really being overshadowed. I really appreciate you having me on here. I'm a huge believer in paying it forward and being positive and being upbeat. And
well, these women have had a different experience, and I think that what you're responding to is the fact that they have seen business practices here that they have found to have negatively impacted their family. You have had a positive experience. I don't care how flat you make a pancake, it's got two sides.
Sure.
And I've tried to represent the two sides, and I think it's really too bad that the gentleman was too busy to come and discuss this situation.
And one quick thing. I think it's important for patients with diabetes to understand, and all of us to understand, this is a tool. Mine's working right now. This is an epidemic, and I will certainly support anyone that's going to try to help make our lives, my patients' lives, anyone here's lives better.
Well, I agree, and I said I take this very seriously. I was on Capitol Hill just last month talking about diabetes and education for all of that. I think it's very important, and I really would resent anyone that was trying to take advantage of those that are vulnerable and looking for help in that regard. And I would applaud any of one that was helping manage that, particularly for children that are vulnerable in that situation. I've put it out there. I'll let people make up their own minds about it. Cinda, thank you for coming. John, thank you for coming. I thank all of you for coming. So use those eyes to peek under your chairs right now, and you will find right there, the eyes have it, and they make great gifts. So for those of you at home, if you want, the eyes have it. Go to RobinMcGrawRevelation.com, If you haven't finished your shopping yet, you'll find all 14 products there, along with The Eyes Have It. I want to thank all of my guests today. We'll see you next time.